Welcome back, everyone, to Ask Virtue, where we answer all of your lifestyle, training, and nutrition-related questions. So this week's question stemmed off of last week's, right? So we talked about how many times a week you should be exercising. This time, we're going to talk about what does an individual training session look like over the course of a week, okay? So here at Virtue Strength Conditioning, we believe in what are called the fundamental human movements. What are those fundamental human movements? They are the push, the pull, the squat, the hinge, and the carry. Okay, so some examples of the push would be a bench press or push-up or an overhead press, so something that you're doing vertical, right? From there, we have our pull. We have a vertical pull and a horizontal pull. So that would look something like a chin-up, a lat pull-down, a pull-up. Those are going to be the vertical pulls. From there, we have our horizontal pull where you're pulling towards you. This is going to look something like a ring row, a dumbbell row, a rowing machine if you're going and training at a gym that has machines. From there, examples of the squat would be some kind of a goblet squat, a barbell back squat, a front squat. There's also single leg squatting, okay? So we have our lunging, we have our pistols, and we have our split squats. Those are all included within the squat category. From there, we have our hip hinge. That's going to be an examples of these movements would be the deadlift, the kettlebell swing, the hip thrust or hip bridge, Olympic lifting, and some single leg hip hinging like a single leg deadlift, okay? Going on down the list, we have our carry. Some examples of the carry would be sleds, bags, weights in the hand where you're doing a farmer's carry, a suitcase carry, or an overhead carry. And if you haven't learned the benefits of carries, go back to episode 2, watch episode 2 of Ask Virtue where we talk about the immense benefits of loaded carries, okay? So, every training day here at Virtue Strength Conditioning, we have the fundamental human movements. Now, most days we're going to do some kind of a carry, but some days maybe not. All right, it just depends on the intent of the workout for a training day here at Virtue Strength Conditioning. But you're guaranteed to have a push, a pull, a squat, and a hinge any training day that you're here at Virtue Strength Conditioning. Okay, so when we talk about sets and reps and loading, we look to try and keep the reps for the push, the pull, and the squat within the rule of 25 to 30 repetitions. Okay, so that's how many reps we're trying to get in a training session each time you come into the gym. Now, we split those up in a number of different rep schemes. So you'll see something like 3 sets of 8, 8 sets of 3, 5 sets of 5, 3 sets of 10, 10 sets of 3. You get the idea here, okay? We're trying to get that 30 repetition range here at Virtue every training every training day, okay? Within the reps for the hip hinge, it's a little bit different. So with deadlift and Olympic lifting, we subscribe to something called the rule of 10. Okay, what that means is that you have 10 good reps in the tank in order for you to, at that high weight, in order for you to get the stimulus that we're looking for. Okay, the hip hinge, the kettlebell swing and the hip thrust or the hip bridge kind of play by different rules because they're more conditioning and bodybuilding based movements. They're not as taxing on the central nervous system. So if you're curious as to the volume of the hip thrust or the kettlebell swing, comment down below with a question and I'll be happy to wax eloquent about the kettlebell swing and the hip thrust, okay? With the carry, we look for distances. So we're looking for something between 50 meters and 100 meters most days. Sometimes we can go more, sometimes we can go less, depends upon the intent of the workout. So every training day has the push, the pull, the squat, and the hinge. Most days we have the carry in there. So when you're looking to build your own program, we're looking for a full body exercise routine that's going to include all of these fundamental human movements with the carries on most days. I hope that answers your question. If you have more questions, comment down below, guys. I would love to hear them. If you haven't already done so, follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where we have all past episodes of Ask Virtue loaded up. We also have an exercise library on there. And I'm going to go into more detail with some longer videos. I'm going to try and keep these videos here on Facebook short. But if you think this information is valuable, please share it with your friends. And if you're local in Baton Rouge, please come into Virtue Strength Conditioning. We're located off of Perkins, just south of Seagan. So thanks, guys. Talk to you next week.